This is the newsroom for Tuesday, December 15, 2020. We're broadcasting to you on E1's Car TV, NTN, and Tarzi TV in Bartica. In the headlines, a mother confesses to brutalizing her 6-year-old daughter, who remains in an unconscious state at the Georgetown Public Hospital. The COVID-19 unit at the Saudi Regional Hospital is almost complete. Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindhya Prasad launches Wish Upon a Star initiative.
Children have so many wishes, and we would like to make their wishes become a reality.
President Irfan Ali hosts successful meeting with former presidents. And in Sport Minister Charles Ramson Jr. keen on building commercial profile of sports associations. West Indies agree in principle to tour Bangladesh in January 2021. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. We're glad you can join us. First up, following intense interrogation by police detectives in B Division, the mother of 6-year-old girl who was found in an unconscious state and covered in mud on Sunday has confessed that she dealt the child several blows with a piece of wood, rendering her unconscious. Police investigators had recovered a piece of wood from the scene where the girl was found and suspected to be the wood used in the commission of the crime, which took place close to her Good Banan Land East Kanji house. The child sustained a fractured skull, among other injuries, and remains in the intensive care unit at the Georgetown Public Hospital. According to a reliable source, the mother told detectives that she struck the child to the back of her head because she continued to run around after being told not to. The girl immediately collapsed after being hit with the wood by her mother. The newsroom understands that the mother, who immediately succumbed to fear, left the child in an unconscious state and went back home. Police said the girl also had injuries to her face. The 25-year-old woman reportedly told investigators that she thought the child was dead. The child was found when the grandfather, who did not notice her around the yard, raised an alarm. She was found submerged in a swampy area covered in mud and was laying on her side with her thumb in her mouth. 60-year-old Clifton Suku, a shopkeeper and father of 3, was killed on the spot Tuesday after he collided with a motorcyclist on the Cumberland East Kanji Berbice public road. His brother, Mohabir Jatan, told the newsroom that Suku was on his way home after taking his motorcycle to the workshop for minor repairs. The family is now calling for a thorough investigation and for justice to be served.
Down when we get a phone call, by the time when we got put in the car, down dead. The bike swing across and the bike overtake a car and lick it down. And pitch it like about 30 to 40 feet away. When home from the workshop, when the workshop he coming home, look after the bike. When a car is a dead man, I carry my car, a dead brother. Yeah. And we want justice.
You gotta get justice or we can take
We want no $200,000 bail for me, brother, and let them marry straight to them.
Brother's a very hard working man. So loving to the family. We lose a great brother there. Great brother.
He had already died?
Yeah, he already died. Blood was pouring through his ears and the neck all with that. He break up a lot. This, he living next door to me. When I hanging out thing for the shop, me shop away, he come out to the yard, he start motorbike, he go out, and he go to the workshop. So coming back, he coming home when this incident happened with me. And I was at supermarket when I get the phone call, I had to call me, tell me my brother get bad accident. But I reach to the hospital and see my brother lay down dead. Couldn't speak a word to him. So we need justice for him because we never take it easy if the police didn't do the job to lock the man up and do what we gotta do.
The COVID-19 unit at the Saudi Regional Hospital will be completed this week to accommodate persons who have tested positive for the disease. Regional Health Officer Dr. Ranjiv Narain, during an interview with the newsroom on Monday, explained that there are 60 active cases in the region, but only 10 persons are symptomatic and are currently at the hospital. Bibi Katoon reports.
At the Saudi Regional Hospital, authorities have converted the maternity waiting room into its COVID-19 unit. The building is being retrofitted to include a delivery room for pregnant mothers who have tested positive for the disease. It has approximately 20 rooms to accommodate 2 patients each and will be completed by the end of this week. According to Regional Health Officer Dr. Ranjiv Singh, space is a challenge which the unit is now addressing.
Other challenges might be our ICU area wasn't that to standard, which is we are now currently doing work on the center that we would have converted to the COVID center, which is the maternity waiting home. We are now doing repairs and modernization of this area.
As of Monday, the region had 60 active COVID-19 cases of its total of 182 recorded to date. Of the active cases, there are 10 persons in isolation at the study hospital, while 50 persons without symptoms are isolated at home.
We have those patients isolated because we don't have enough space to facilitate all of them. So, however, we are still having our surveillance worker monitoring these patients, finding out if they're having any sign or any symptom. Bear in mind that all the cases we have home isolated are asymptomatic, so they don't have any symptom. In the case or in the event of any one of them experiencing any symptom, they can call our hotline, or our surveillance would normally call and have a daily check on them.
The hospital has acquired a ventilator and a concentrator to assist critical patients.
There was no ventilator for these patients. About a month ago, the ministry would have given us a brand new ventilator with a oxygen concentrator, meaning that you don't have to get oxygen bottle, you don't have to get lines with oxygen, but this concentrator can collect the air from the atmosphere and convert it into oxygen, so that the patients who are having shortness of breath and so on, they can be given oxygen via this concentrator.
Dr. Singh said the majority of the positive COVID-19 cases in the region are persons between the ages of 20 and 35. Guyana has so far confirmed close to 6,000 COVID-19 cases with over 5,000 recoveries. Bibi Katoon, Newsroom.
Children who want to meet, want to give, and want to have or want somewhere to go now have an opportunity for their wishes to be granted through the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security Wish Upon a Star initiative. Conceptualized by Subject Minister Dr. Vindhya Prasad, the Christmas campaign targets children with special needs.
I'm pleased to launch the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security's Christmas initiative, specially for children, Wish Upon a Star. Children have so many wishes, and we would like to make their wishes become a reality. This year, we are reaching out to children who are terminally ill, children who suffer from disabilities, children who may have lost their parents, children who have suffered some psychological trauma, and children who have never had the opportunity to enjoy something that they desire or really wish for that would put a smile on their face and make them incredibly happy. Now is the chance for a child to say where he or she wants to go, who he or she wants to meet, and what he or she would really like to have. Maybe that child would even like to give someone something. So we've come upon the idea of giving them the opportunity to wish upon a star. Our mailboxes will be across the country, our Santa's mailboxes, and all that child has to do is to put in writing what their wish is, or if you know a child and you want to make that child smile, happy, or to put the spirit of the season into perspective by making their wish come true, then you write and let us know why you think that child should benefit from our program. We are going to be engaging a number of companies and entities to help to make that child's wish upon a star a reality. Wishing you all out there happy holidays, all the best for the season, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Let's make that child's wish a reality. Wish upon a star.
The Texila American University is now offering a range of packages for persons who study with COURSERA. Persons who have completed courses can now apply for credit exemptions. They are also now pre-qualified and can also benefit from a reduction in fees and can be allowed to write final exams with the Texila American University. The university's assistant registrar on Tuesday announced the packages and revealed that persons can now register for the March 2021 semester intake. Some 51,000 Guyanese have registered for the COURSERA program, of which 32,912 were issued certificates. Isinella Patwa has more details.
The Texila American University offers bachelor's and master's in public health and business programs. Now persons who complete COURSERA courses in these areas are eligible to apply for a number of packages the university is offering. The university's assistant registrar, Shribala Kumar, on Tuesday revealed that they will sit down with students and let them know what package they can benefit from. He was speaking at an event held at the National Center for Educational Research Development, Kingston, Georgetown. The assistant registrar explained the 4 packages being offered by the university for COURSERA students.
We categorize in 4 areas. That is, firstly, the COURSERA courses as a prerequisite of the program entry. In detail, that is, students with non-science or non-business background, if they want to prefer to go for BBA, they can choose this COURSERA programs as a eligibility criteria to enter into the university education. Secondly, it's a credit exemption. Students who wish to have credit exemption either for program like BBA or other bachelor's program, they can utilize their credits which they have earned in COURSERA. Third model is like the direct evaluation of the course model. That is, students who wish to earn Texila credits with the background of COURSERA courses, they can go for a final exam with Texila of that particular courses along with the case study. And the last model which we want to map is redeem your course credits. So we want to value your COURSERA and the time spent in earning that credits, which will be redeemed for the tuition fee of Texila American University BBA program. So these are the 4 opportunities we are actually introducing.
The Private Sector Commission over a month ago also signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Ministries of Education and Public Service to recognize certificates from persons who completed the COURSERA program. Minister of Education Priya Manikchan further urged other universities in Guyana to follow in the footsteps of Texila.
I would hope that the University of Guyana is going to pay attention and see how they too can use these courses that Guyanese citizens have done and have graduated in and determine how that could enhance what they offer as a university. I was very pleased to hear Mr. Balakumar just now say that they are willing to sit down with persons who might already have the Texila certificates or who may wish to do not Texila certificates, the COURSERA certificates, or who may now wish to do COURSERA courses to build out which courses they should take to be able to benefit from either the exemptions or the credit or eligibility.
Meanwhile, over 50,000 Guyanese have registered for courses through COURSERA and over 30,000 have been certified so far. The minister further stated that the COURSERA program has also extended the deadline to December 31st to be registered, and persons have until March 31st to complete the program. Additionally, the government is working with several universities, including the Indira Gandhi University, the University of the West Indies, and the University of Guyana, to build a scholarship program that will offer online learning opportunities for 20,000 Guyanese. Reporting for the Newsroom, I am Isinella Patwa.
When the newsroom returns, health professionals in Region 2 are in dire need of a water ambulance, and the man who burned his wife and children to death in Bartica remains hospitalized on the police guard. Stay with us. You're watching the newsroom. Health professionals in Region 2 are in dire need of a water ambulance to transport severely ill patients across the Essequibo River. This is according to Regional Health Officer Dr. Ranjiv Singh, who is pleading with authorities to assist in this regard. During an interview with the newsroom on Monday, the Regional Health Officer explained that patients are currently transported on the ferry in an ambulance. However, this service is not efficient. He noted that patients have to wait on the scheduled ferry service which operates only twice per day. Critical patients are usually transported via airplanes from the Hampton Court airstrip, but this too is affected by the weather at the time.
In Region 2, we have a ferry system where the boat leaves 5 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. However, if there is any patient that is critical, most of the time we have to wait until the next ferry is scheduled, and that would be 5 in the morning or 5 in the afternoon. And then the time frame, it's 2 hours in this ferry. Now if we get a water ambulance, it's going to take us 45 minutes maximum from Good Hope Supernam to Bartica, which would decrease the time. And obviously if it decreases the time, then the percentage of the patients surviving would increase as well. So we're advocating, we will put it in the 2021 budget proposal. We hope that we can justify the reason why we need this, and so that the ministry can facilitate us to have this water ambulance. It is going to create a big and positive impact in this region, where we can save a lot of lives.
The Soddy Hospital in the Essequibo Coast is the regional hospital, but it also serves residents of Hog Island, Wakenham and Legwan Island in the Essequibo River. The RHO noted that the water ambulance will assist with moving critical patients from these areas. President Irfan Ali on Tuesday went ahead with his inaugural consultation in the form of a working lunch with former presidents of Guyana. The meeting was attended by former presidents Donald Ramatar, Samuel Hines, and Bar Jagdeo. Former President David Granger declined the invitation last Friday, citing concerns with the agenda. A release from the president's office clarified that the objective is for the former presidents to present their perspectives, to share information, and more importantly, to start a dialogue which will help guide the country's developmental agenda. After the invitations were dispatched, President Ali had said that all Guyana will see all the former presidents acting responsibly and being part of that engagement. The family of 48-year-old Carolina Kennedy pleaded with her to leave her abusive husband for years, but she did not heed their advice. The man, Kenford Downer, known as Tallman, set fire to the couple's house at 4 Mile squatting area Bartica on Saturday last, while Kennedy and their 2 daughters, 5-year-old Marina Downer and 3-year-old Gabriella Kennedy, were sleeping. The woman and her children were burnt to death. Isanella Patwa joins us with the details.
2 days before setting fire to a small wooden house while his 2 daughters and wife were sleeping on Saturday night, Kenford Downer had threatened to burn the house down. The tragic incident occurred at the 4 Mile squatting area in Bartica, Region 7. The skeletal remains of 48-year-old Carolina Kennedy and her 2 daughters, 5-year-old Mariana Downer and 3-year-old Gabriella Kennedy, were discovered inside the house after the fire. The community remains disturbed and shocked at the incident. According to Carolina's sister, Gwyneth Kennedy, she was physically and verbally abused by Downer for years, and about a year ago he assaulted her and broke her arm. He was jailed for a couple of months, but Gwyneth said after he was released, her sister rekindled the relationship. Before burning down the house with his family inside, Downer accused Carolina of having an affair.
Why here since last week Thursday, he tells she he's going to burn down this house. Burn down, kill she and burn down the house, and she didn't go to the station. And when you hear, it's they do.
Why?
Like, no, that might break she hand, bust up she eye, and she send him in jail, and he come out of jail and she go back with him.
Gwyneth said while Downer was imprisoned, Carolina eventually got married to someone else and moved to Georgetown. The newsroom understands that Carolina and the suspect have been in and out of the relationship for the past 5 years. Gwyneth further revealed that the suspect was also abusive to other family members. She claimed he was arrested while on the way to her mother's house and said he wanted to harm her after killing his family. She said prior to the incident on Saturday, the suspect never harmed his daughters. The family believes that Carolina and the 2 girls were killed before Downer set the house on fire.
His own children, guys, will break me. That hurt me so bad because, oh my God, them children so innocent. He didn't have to kill them. Yes. So guys, what happened? Like he killed she before, he killed she first, and then he killed the 2 children, and then he burned down the house with them. Because he too put born up, you know, he too put born up is like he got the government take the heat for born down himself too, but he can't take the heat so he run out the fire.
A post-mortem examination conducted on the remains on Monday revealed that they were burnt to death. Downer, who also received burns on his feet, remains hospitalized under police guard. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isinella Pato.
Still ahead on the newsroom, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony now says that frontline workers will be the first to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Stay tuned. You're watching the newsroom. Thank you for staying with us. Guyana's Ethnic Relations Commission, in a bid to address the country's long-standing issues surrounding race and ethnic relations, on Monday opened the national discussion on the factors that impede ethnic harmony. The two-day virtual discussion includes a panel of diverse Guyanese from differing political, religious, and cultural backgrounds, but also extends participation to scores of Guyanese who are interested in making their contribution. Here is more. A national discussion on ethnic relations organized by the Ethnic Relations Commission opened amid high hopes on Monday that at the end of the frank conversation, solutions to addressing Guyana's ethnic divide will be found. It is supported by the Office of the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Guyana and the University of Guyana. Several panelists and participants in their recommendations under the theme, "How can we improve ethnic relations in Guyana?" urged constitutional reform to be among the practical fixes to the issue. The ERC is expected to collect all recommendations made and put them into a formal document to be submitted to the National Assembly and relevant stakeholders for consideration and implementation. Those making presentations and welcomed the move to hold a national conversation on the issue of race relations were UC Vice-Chancellor Dr. Paloma Muhammad Martin, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly Lennox Schumann, Professor David Hines, activist Ravi Dev, as well as public relations expert Christopher Kit Nascimento and consultant Renata Changasang. While recalling some of Guyana's worst moments of racial divide, several of the panelists made a strong call for constitutional reform to address the racial inequalities, but more importantly, panelists have called on Guyanese to hold their leaders accountable.
That the question of improved ethnic relations have been put back several years. First, by the coming of oil and gas into our political economy. And second, by the reinserting of external forces in our politics. And those two factors, I think, have muddied the waters, the ethnic waters in Guyana. It has emboldened one group over other groups, and the coming of oil has exaggerated the competition for economic resources. And so I conclude by saying that this task of the improvement of ethnic relations is a deep task that determines deep analysis and deep discourse rather than surface discourse or skirting around the issues.
Many persons recalled the recent 5-month protracted elections period and said the need for ethnic harmony is urgent and should be addressed forthwith. Making a strong case for the collection of data on race and ethnicity was renowned attorney at law Nigel Hughes. Hughes said it was critical before the commencement of any rational discussion on equal opportunity that the relevant information on race is made available.
The collection of data by race does not make you racist, because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, if the government starts to analyze and collect information, economic information, etc. by race, then it means that you're subscribing to a racial agenda. Quite the contrary. The more information you have to address a specific problem, the better your chances are of solving the problem. So unlike the proverbial ostrich who sees the storm coming, knows that the storm is going to decimate him, and assumes that the solution to it is to bury your head in the sand and somehow by magic the storm will not hit you. What the collection of information by race and ethnicity does is, first of all, it allows us to see where there are areas in which one particular race benefits.
Monday's conversation also saw the participation of persons living in Guyana and abroad, asking questions and making suggestions for addressing the issue. The ERC hopes that these varying points of view of the presenters and participants can serve in some measure as a blueprint for possible solution on the related challenges that confront Guyanese of all ethnicity. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony on Monday revealed that the first set of COVID-19 vaccines will be administered to frontline health workers, after which the elderly and persons with underlying conditions will receive the second dose. The minister had initially stated that the first dose of the vaccine would have been given to the elderly persons and persons with comorbidities, but that had to be changed in keeping with the protocols developed by COVAX, the agency which is facilitating the distribution of the vaccines in Guyana. While Guyana is set to receive vaccines for only 20% of the population, the minister explained that they are working on acquiring more vaccines for at least 80% of Guyanese.
We have signed on to some of the terms of references that they have sent to us, and there are some other agreements that we'll have to sign later on. We are working on those. So we, through this mechanism, because what they're trying to do is to acquire for 100 and something countries 2 billion doses of vaccines. And they plan to get that next year and the year after. And once they acquire these doses of vaccines, then they make them available to countries. So we are expecting that sometime next year, we'll get the first tranche of vaccines, which would be at 3%, and we'll make that available to our frontline health workers. So at the initial stages, not everybody would be able to access the vaccine. It would only go to a limited set of persons, frontline workers. But subsequently, we'll get some more vaccines, which would account for another 17% or so. And that set of vaccines, we intend to give it to older persons and, of course, persons with comorbidities, because we deem them to be at higher risk. We'll have to continue working on trying to get more vaccines, because many of the experts believe that for us to exit the pandemic, we'll have to achieve something that is called herd immunity. And to get to herd immunity, some of the experts are projecting that about 80% of our population would need to be immunized. And therefore, we'll still have to get some more vaccines to be able to reach that level of immunization in our population.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bird report, along with sport. Welcome back to the newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. Sport Minister Charles Ramson Jr. says his aim is to build the capacity of each national sport association or federation to the point where they have independent commerciality. The minister is speaking on Saturday after the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport collaborated with the Guyana Bodybuilding and Fitness Federation to host a virtual competition.
We want to be able to support all sports. That's the first position that we take at the ministry. Once it's a legitimate sport, we want to be able to support all sports. We're hoping that in this nascent phase for many of these sports, that we can help to nurture it so that it gets to the point of independent commerciality. That's really where we want to be able to take a lot of the sports. Help with their administration, so that we have that consistent type of engagement. So we're monitoring how well they're administering their body, their federation, their association, so that they're more responsible to their membership. There's more accountability there. That's important for us, because we don't want to be able to foster a culture, regardless of where it is, where there's no accountability, where there's no responsiveness to membership. So as far as the ministry is concerned, we want to be able to support all sports, but we also want to be able to nurture them in this nascent phase so that they can get to the point of commerciality. As the market continues to grow, as Guyana transforms, as we get a lot more mature in our market economy, there will be a lot more private sector growth. The private sector growth wants to be able to put some money towards corporate social responsibility. They also want to be able to know where they can put their money so that they can get much more far-reaching type of branding opportunities. That's what the ministry is trying to do too. So when we had made this deliberate decision to push a lot of our online platform is so that we can widen our reach. We now have more reach than any newspaper could have. So if somebody wanted to partner with any association that is having a partnership with the ministry, they will have, if they were branding for any of these events, they will have more reach than any newspaper, any traditional newspaper. That's important because you also want to be able to, when you're making your decisions about where you're going to put your money for your branding opportunities, you want to know where you're going to be able to do it. So we're doing this really so that we can help these sports. When they get more money, they get more training opportunities, they get more exposure, they're able to build they can have their own incubator where they're being able to generate more athletes, generate more interest. So that's really what we're trying to do in the ministry.
We tell you now that after consecutive innings defeat to New Zealand, West Indies captain Jason Holder said while they were good in patches, they could have done much better. West Indies lost the opening test by an innings and 134 runs in Hamilton and the second game by an innings and 12 runs in Wellington. On the flip side, the stand-in captain Tom Latham said that the Black Caps were clinical throughout the series.
Good in patches. Obviously, I thought our bowlers were outstanding. Just tough that we didn't take our opportunities when they came. You know, it just shows, you know, if you give quality players, you know, 2, 3, 4 hands in one test match, you know, they'll make you pay for it. Yeah, and then when we batted in the first innings, we just definitely didn't set up the game well. The pitch was a really good pitch, but I was really pleased to see the fight in the second innings. The way John Campbell went about it, you know, I gave him that support because I thought, you know, he was just shaping to put something together quite big for us. And it just wasn't coming off, but it was good to see him, you know, knuckle down again, you know, go through the same processes and get a score. Yeah, we would have liked him to go on a little longer, but, you know, still pleased the way he went out and applied himself. Likewise, Joshua De Silva in the second innings. I was really pleased with both debutants, actually. I thought Joshua was outstanding, and Shamar Holder was very outstanding for us as well, too. So positives, good in patches, as I said before, but still not good enough. I felt they were good, but, you know, the way we batted in the second innings, they still gave us scoring opportunities. You know, obviously they were looking for wickets as well too, so, you know, they obviously presented us with a few scoring opportunities. But look, it wasn't an attack. I don't think the conditions were that tough in order to get runs. You know, the wicket was a really good wicket. You know, I still felt it was easy pace. 1 or 2 balls went through and bounced, but apart from that, it was still pretty good to bat on. But credit to them again, you know, they bowled well, but I still think that we could have, you know, definitely got on top of them a little bit better than we did.
Yeah, probably clinical's probably the word to use for it again, I think. The way we were able to set the game up here in Wellington with the bat on the back of Henry's innings was outstanding. Obviously being put into bat first and putting 420, I think it was, on the board, you know, was outstanding. And we talk about from a batting point of view as your first innings score, making sure that that's a big one, and yeah, in these conditions to put a score like that on the board was great. And then on the back of that, we're able to do the job with the ball. You know, to put a team back in twice in 2 test matches was not going to be easy for the bowlers in terms of the demand on their body, but you know, they kept coming time and time again and did the job with the ball yesterday, and then today was outstanding. So yeah, I think clinical is probably a good word to use for it.
Meanwhile, West Indies captain Jason Holder said there is no reason why umpires shouldn't travel on quarantine as players have been doing during the COVID-19 pandemic. Questioned at the end of the New Zealand series about his thoughts of having strictly home umpires, Holder said if players are making the sacrifice to travel around the world, then umpires should do the same.
Yeah, the umpiring, I know Polly for sure had a few question marks over the umpiring in the T20 series, you know, but, you know, look, I try to be as fair down the line. You know, what I would say about the umpiring or the situation of the umpires is that if we can travel and do a quarantine, I don't see why an opposing umpire can't travel and do the quarantine. You know, I still don't understand the situation where we're just having home umpires. You know, if players are making the sacrifice to go around the world and continue cricket, then I feel as though the umpires should do the same. You know, I think even if it's a case where you get a home on an opposing umpire to do a test match, then I think that's fair. But yeah, the umpiring in the test series, I can't really say it's been horrible. You know, obviously in any test series you get decisions that you would always question. But yeah, I think the umpires, you know, put up their hands and they did a reasonable job.
The Board of Directors of Cricket West Indies has approved in principle the tour of Bangladesh, subject to the finalization of the medical and logistical details within the tour Memorandum of Understanding. Details in this report. The approval in principle was made following a recommendation from CWI's Medical Advisory Committee, having received a detailed report from the pre-tour visit of Bangladesh by CWI Director and member of the CWI and ICC Medical Advisory Committee, Dr. Akshay Mansingh, and Security Manager Paul Slow. CWI will continue discussions with the Bangladesh Cricket Board and the West Indies Players Association to fine-tune the various arrangements in order to ensure the health and safety of the players and team management unit. The series will comprise 3 ODIs and 2 test matches as well as 2 warm-up games. While in Bangladesh, Dr. Mansingh and Slow visited all the proposed facilities for the tour in both Dhaka and Chattogram, attended matches in the Bangla Bandhu T20 Cup, and also got a first-hand look at the country's COVID-19 response protocols. Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Officer Johnny Grave said given West Indies would be the first team to visit Bangladesh since the onset of the pandemic, the health and safety of the touring party is at the forefront of their minds. Grave said back in November that the 2-man team was highly experienced and capable of assessing the biosecure plans and protocols in Bangladesh. The tour of Bangladesh would be the 3rd tour for the West Indies men's team since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. They recently toured New Zealand for 3 T20 internationals, 2 test matches and 2 A-team 4-day matches. Earlier this year, they visited England, where they played 3 test matches in a biosecure environment, which marked a return to the game on the international stage. The West Indies women's team also toured England in September for 5 T20 internationals. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. My name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.